School governing bodies will now have power to decide on schools' language policy. This after the National Council of Provinces Select Committee on Education and Technology amended the Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill. The committee resolved to remove powers of the Basic Education HOD to determine the language policy, but they will have powers to decide if a school can have one or two languages. The draft legislation is at its final stages to become law, as it will soon be sent to President Cyril Ramaphosa's office. For more on this conversation, we're joined by Matakanya, the General Secretary of the National Association of School Governing Bodies. Dr. Matakanya, appreciate your time this evening. I'd like to start off with the original role of the school governing bodies regarding language policy in public schools before the amendments to the Bella Bill.
Hugo, good evening, and all your viewers. The role and responsibility of the school governing body is to, one of the functions is to draft language policy, and then also other functions like passing the budget, adopting the vision of the school, hiring staffs, and etc. That's now the role and responsibility of the school governing bodies.
Now, were opposition parties and organisations concerned about the clause in the language policy in the proposed legislation? Because there's obviously been a fair amount of outcry regarding that.
Yeah, of course, that is the role and responsibility of the opposition party to oppose anything. We should not forget that this piece of legislation is a tool that the country is using to transform the education and develop the education that will suit each and every child in the country. And we should not forget the history that we come from, where the laws segregated the children in terms of their color, in terms of their level of poverty and all those things. But now this piece of legislation is trying to bring all the children of South Africa to a common position so that they are all equal before the law, before or within the education system, within the education in the public schooling, they are one. And in this case, we are happy, we are welcoming that, although initially we felt that it was good that the HOD must really control this. That in that case, the HOD was not taking away the powers of the parents, but now they trimmed it down. Then we are still having those powers, and but the final, if then a parent complains, then the HOD comes in and regulate. If then there is, like for instance, if you remember, Hugo, is that there was a policy in some schools that are referred to as Model C schools. The hair policy was not the same, because then people who were drafting that policy, I think they were saying the hair of some children are better than some children, and all those things, you know. And you will find that such things, then the HOD must come in and stop that type of segregation in our schools. We have gone past with the system where people were separated according to the level of their poverty, the manner in which they speak, and all those things. We are all, and this piece of legislation is making us all South African equal before anything. Then we are all South African, irrespective of whether I've got money or I don't have money. But that piece of legislation makes us one.
Tata Matakanya, how might these changes affect schools that currently prioritize single language or mother tongue language education?
Kakamanget, you go.
So how might these changes affect schools that currently prioritize single language or mother tongue language prioritization?
It depends on the school, the community. If the community, because it allows for the school governing bodies to draft the language policy. So if the community in that area says, no, this school then is going to be a Zulu school or going to be a vendor school, then let it be. Then they've got right in that. I mean, you can if you know that in Eastern Cape, children are taught in Xhosa, so it means that now this piece of legislation is working. Well, if people feel that they still want to keep Africans in their school, it depends on that particular community. So and that's why the hullabaloo that when they were saying, no, this government is taking the power of the parents away, when in real terms then we wanted also the HOD to regulate. But it is back now to the communities to decide on which language will be a language policy in that particular school. So it's not anymore whether you've got money or not, but now then parents will take a decision to say, in this school, we want Zulu, we want Xhosa, we want English, we want Afrikaans.
Tata Matakanya, appreciate your time. Matakanya, the General Secretary of the National Association of School Governing Bodies.